There's a reason most people never master their finances. And it's not a lack of information. It's not because they don't work hard. It's not because they're not smart or capable or driven. It's because they never develop the mindset that leads to mastery. They live their whole lives following systems they didn't design, repeating beliefs they never questioned, reacting to money instead of directing it. They don't take control because they've been conditioned to believe that money controls them. Mastering your financial destiny begins long before you make your first investment, long before you earn your first promotion, long before you decide what vehicle or path you'll use to build your income. It starts with how you think, how you see yourself, how you define wealth. Not just externally, but internally. You cannot rise financially if your beliefs around money stay low. You cannot build wealth if your identity is still rooted in lack. Most people live in survival mode when it comes to money. They wake up every day trying not to lose, trying to stay ahead of the bills, trying to get by. And if you live like that long enough, you start to think that's normal. You start to think that comfort is the goal. That if you can just be okay, you're doing fine. But comfort is not mastery. Survival is not abundance. And the goal isn't to just have enough. It's to become someone who knows they'll always have more than enough. Because that's where true wealth begins. Not with numbers, but with vision. Not with your paycheck, but with your potential. It begins when you start seeing money as a tool, not as a problem. As something you control, not something that controls you. It begins when you stop reacting to your circumstances and start rewriting the story. And the story isn't just about making money. It's about building a life where you never doubt your ability to create, to contribute, to build value, and to generate wealth through who you are. Money is a mirror. It reflects your habits, your beliefs, your level of self-worth. If you see yourself as someone who's always behind, someone who's always struggling, someone who's barely hanging on, your financial life will match that. But if you see yourself as someone who is resourceful, creative, valuable, and worthy of more, your financial life will begin to shift. Because your thoughts shape your choices. Your choices shape your results. And over time, those results compound into destiny. The people who win financially aren't always the smartest. They're not always the most educated. They don't always have the most impressive credentials. But what they do have, every single one of them, is a different mindset. They believe that wealth is created, not inherited. They believe that they are capable of building something bigger than what they came from. They believe that money flows to value, and they are committed to becoming more valuable every day. This is the difference between financial survival and financial mastery. It's not just about budgeting or cutting expenses or finding the best stock to buy next. Those things matter, but they don't work without the right mindset behind them. You can have the best tools in the world, but if you don't believe you deserve to use them, you won't. You'll stay stuck. You'll hesitate. You'll self-sabotage. You'll look around at others winning and think they got lucky. When the truth is, they just decided. And you can decide too. You can decide today that your financial story doesn't have to be the same as your past. That your identity doesn't have to match your current income. That your future doesn't have to look anything like what you've seen around you. Because wealth doesn't begin with numbers. It begins with belief. It begins with clarity. It begins with the decision to master your mindset and then your money. This isn't about get rich quick. This is about becoming unshakable. This is about building from the inside out. This is about transforming the way you think so you can transform the way you earn, save, invest, and lead. You're not here to play small. You're not here to just get by. You're here to lead yourself to a life of freedom, of impact, of ownership, and it begins now. The first strategy is developing an abundance mindset. This is where everything starts, because your financial destiny will never grow beyond the limits of your thinking. If you believe the world is scarce, if you believe opportunity is rare, that success is for a select few, that money is hard to get and even harder to keep, you will always live in conflict with your own growth. You will hesitate when you need to act. You will shrink when you need to expand. You will sabotage when you should be building. An abundance mindset is not about being naive. It's not about pretending that everything is easy. It's about training yourself to see that there's more than enough to go around, and that you are capable of attracting, creating, and multiplying it. Not by luck, not by waiting, but by building yourself into the kind of person who delivers real value, makes real decisions, and attracts real opportunity. Most people don't lack intelligence. They lack belief. They're not lazy. They've just been conditioned to think small, to be cautious, to play it safe. And the language they speak to themselves proves it. I can't afford that. That'll never happen for me. People like me don't make that kind of money. But abundance doesn't respond to that kind of energy. Opportunity doesn't stick around for people who see themselves as unworthy. An abundance mindset flips that language. It starts saying, how can I afford that? What do I need to learn to earn more? Who do I need to become to attract that kind of income? It shifts from limitation to possibility, from defense to creation, from reacting to designing. It's the mental shift that takes you from hoping for better to planning for it. You cannot master money while being emotionally attached to scarcity. If every dollar that leaves your life creates panic, you will never be free. If every investment feels like a loss, every risk feels like danger, and every success, someone else's makes you feel less worthy, you'll always be at war with wealth. And no one builds wealth from a place of fear. Abundance isn't a number. It's a state of mind. It's looking at your future and knowing that even if everything collapsed today, you'd find a way to rebuild. Because wealth isn't in the account. It's in the mindset. The belief that you have value, that you can deliver value, that you can generate new income again and again, no matter what season you're in. When you adopt this mindset, you stop comparing. You stop resenting people who have more than you. You stop feeling like there's not enough to go around. Instead, you start learning. You start modeling. You start asking better questions. Not why them, but what can I take from their strategy and apply to my own? You stop making excuses because now you believe in possibility. And when you believe something is possible, you stop defending your limitations. You start removing them. You start finding reasons to take action, not delay it. You stop blaming the economy, your background, your current income. You stop waiting for someone to fix it because you realize you were never waiting on them. You were waiting on you. And abundance grows the moment you act on it. The moment you take your eyes off fear and put them on the next step. The moment you stop clenching your money and start directing it. Not recklessly, but with confidence, with calm, with the belief that money is a tool you can use, not a threat you have to fear. You learn to circulate it, to manage it, to direct it toward growth. You stop hoarding and start planting. You stop thinking about cost and start thinking about value. You begin to see that money is infinite, but your time isn't. And when you value your time more than you fear losing money, your whole financial world begins to open up. Abundance is not just a mindset, it's a lens. It affects how you handle opportunities, how you speak, how you negotiate, how you give, how you receive. You stop shrinking in conversations about wealth. You stop feeling guilty for wanting more. You stop apologizing for thinking big. Because you understand that abundance in your life creates space for more abundance in the world. It doesn't mean you become reckless. It means you become faithful. It means you become wise. It means you learn how to hold money with open hands, respectfully, responsibly, but not fearfully. It means you train your thoughts to serve your vision, not sabotage it. And that kind of thinking changes everything. Next, the second strategy is to build your identity before you build your income. Most people chase money without ever upgrading the person trying to earn it. They're focused on external gain before they've done internal growth. They want the raise, the clients, the return, the result, but they haven't shifted who they are at the core. And your outer world will never rise higher than your inner self-concept. You attract what you are, not what you wish for. You can't hold on to wealth with a poverty mindset. You can't build freedom if your identity is still chained to lack, to unworthiness, to self-doubt. You might stumble into success, but you won't keep it. Because the version of you who earns it has to be the version of you who can manage it, multiply it, and grow it. This is why so many people sabotage their financial progress. They make more money, but they don't upgrade their mindset. They get the job, but still see themselves as someone who's struggling. They land the opportunity, but they haven't shifted the identity that matches the opportunity. So they subconsciously find ways to return to what feels familiar. Familiar isn't always functional. Sometimes the most dangerous place to live is the one you've grown used to, even if it's stressful, even if it's small, even if it keeps you stuck, because it feels safe. But safety isn't mastery. Comfort isn't growth. If you want to change your financial destiny, you have to become the kind of person who expects more, believes more, and shows up like more. Identity isn't changed by dreaming. It's changed by decisions, daily decisions. Identity is shaped every time you do something that your old self would have avoided. Every time you act like the person you want to become, even when it feels awkward, even when it feels fake. Because eventually, that behavior becomes belief, and belief becomes normal. You have to stop saying things that don't align with the life you're building. Stop calling yourself broke, even as a joke. Stop saying you're bad with money. Stop identifying with scarcity, even if that's where you came from. You're not broke, you're in transition. You're not financially stuck, you're rebuilding. You're not inexperienced, you're learning. Speak from your future, not your fear. Move like someone who's building something great. Even if the numbers aren't there yet, the belief has to be. You have to think like someone who knows their value, who respects their time, who sees their ideas as worth investing in. Because if you don't believe in your value, you'll undercharge. You'll hesitate. You'll over-explain. You'll shrink in conversations that require strength. And if you want to command money, you have to first command yourself. That starts with the internal standard you operate from, not the external image you project. The most financially free people have the clearest identity. They know who they are. They don't chase trends. They don't seek constant approval. They don't shapeshift to match the room. Their confidence isn't fake. It's grounded in who they become. They've done the work to become someone who can lead, contribute, and multiply. You can earn money by chance, but to master money, you need identity. You need to know what you will and won't tolerate, what you will and won't pursue, what you will and won't spend time or energy on. Boundaries come from identity. Standards come from identity. And your financial future will be built on the standards you enforce, not the wishes you whisper. So ask yourself, who are you becoming? Who is the version of you that earns freely, gives generously, invests wisely, and leads confidently? And are your current choices aligned with that version, or are you still living from an outdated self-concept? This isn't about pretending. It's about aligning. It's about acting like the person you want to become until that identity becomes your new reality. And the only way that happens is through repetition, through clarity, through the daily decision to show up like your future is already true. Next, the third strategy is to master your relationship with money. Not just how you earn it, but how you see it, how you feel about it, how you interact with it. Because money isn't just numbers on a page. It's emotional. It carries stories. It carries history. And until you deal with those emotions and rewrite those stories, your financial life will stay limited, no matter how much you try to earn. Your relationship with money is often shaped long before you ever make any. What you saw growing up, what you heard, what you experienced. Maybe money meant tension. Maybe it meant guilt. Maybe it meant control, lack, stress, or instability. And now, even if you're in a different situation, those old emotions still drive your behavior. You can't master money if you're afraid of it, if you resent it, if you associate it with pain. You'll always push it away, sabotage opportunities, spend recklessly, or hoard it out of fear. You might not even realize you're doing it, but your results will reflect it. Because the way you feel about money will always leak into the way you handle it. Mastering your relationship with money starts with honesty. You stop pretending. You stop saying, "I'm fine," when you're not. You stop ignoring the bills. You stop calling avoidance optimism. You sit down and get real. What are the numbers? What's working? What's not? And more importantly, how do you feel about all of it? Because if you can't face it, you can't fix it. Avoidance is the enemy of mastery. And courage, real, lasting courage, means looking at the facts and saying, "This is where I am, and I'm ready to do the work to change it." Once you face it, you can begin to rewire it. You can start seeing money as neutral, as a tool, as something that flows, not something that controls. You stop giving it all your emotional power. You stop tying your self-worth to your bank account. And you start realizing that money is a reflection of behavior, not identity. You begin to develop financial habits that reflect who you're becoming. You track your money, not obsessively, but attentively. You learn to manage it, not to restrict your life, but to take control of it. You start telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. You stop fearing wealth. You stop feeling guilty for wanting more. You stop associating ambition with greed because you've healed the story, because you've taken your power back, because you now understand that the more financially stable you are, the more options you have, the more impact you can make, the more freedom you can build. This is where you begin to separate emotion from behavior. You may feel unworthy, but you still save. You may feel overwhelmed, but you still make the call. You may feel behind, but you still invest. You stop letting your emotions be the boss of your financial decisions. You let your plan be. Because that plan becomes your peace. That plan becomes your evidence. That plan becomes your anchor. It tells you that even if your past was chaotic, your future doesn't have to be. That even if you've made mistakes, you can build new momentum. That even if you didn't learn it young, you can learn it now. Mastery doesn't mean you never mess up. It means you know how to recover quickly. It means you know how to course correct without spiraling. It means you trust yourself to make smart decisions, even when you feel pressure, especially when you feel pressure. And over time, your relationship with money changes. It becomes calmer, more confident, more grounded. You stop being reactive. You stop running from it. You start sitting with it, respecting it, directing it. And that shift changes your entire financial future. Next, the fourth strategy is to expand your earning capacity by increasing your value. Not just your hours, not just your hustle, your value. Because money flows to value. Always has, always will. You want more income? Become more valuable. Not to everyone, not in everything, but to the right people in the right way, solving the right problems. Most people try to increase income by doing more of what they're already doing. They work more hours, they chase more clients, they take more calls. But they never stop to ask the real question: how can I increase the value of what I offer so I can earn more without doing more? That's leverage. That's strategy. That's where financial growth becomes scalable. You don't get paid for your time. You get paid for your impact, for your results, for the difference you make. The bigger the problem you can solve, the more people you can help, the more deeply you can help them, the higher your value becomes. And that value is something you develop. It's not fixed. It's not based on your age or where you came from or what you studied. It's based on how intentional you are about growth, about learning, about mastery. It's based on your ability to spot opportunities, to create solutions, to deliver results. You grow your value by becoming a student of your craft, by studying the best in your field, by going deep instead of just staying wide, by choosing one path and mastering it. Because people don't pay top dollar for generalists, they pay for experts. For people who know their stuff, who speak with confidence, who solve problems faster and with more clarity than the rest. Value comes from how you show up, your attitude, your consistency, your reliability. People will pay more to work with someone they trust, someone who shows up on time, someone who brings energy, someone who leads, someone who doesn't need to be micromanaged. You want to earn more? Solve bigger problems. Be easier to work with. Communicate clearly. Deliver beyond expectation. Be the person people can count on. And do it consistently enough that your name becomes associated with excellence. This isn't about becoming someone you're not. It's about becoming the best version of who you already are, taking your skills, your strengths, your ideas, and refining them, practicing, learning, evolving, until the market has no choice but to recognize that you're not replaceable. When you become irreplaceable, money follows. Because people don't want cheap. They want effective. They want results. And when you can deliver those results at a high level, consistently, with professionalism and care, you create demand. And when you create demand, you create options. You no longer have to beg for opportunity. You start choosing between them. You stop fighting over crumbs and start building tables. You stop chasing discounts and start setting your price. And that doesn't happen by accident. It happens because you decided to increase your value, not just your volume. This applies whether you're an employee, an entrepreneur, or anything in between. You can always find ways to grow, to learn, to lead, to become the person who makes things better just by walking into the room. That energy is rare, and that energy gets paid. But it's not instant. It takes time. It takes patience. It takes humility. It takes the willingness to invest in yourself before anyone else does. The willingness to show up even when no one's watching, to study when no one's grading you, to practice when no one's cheering. Because every hour you spend building yourself is a down payment on your future income. Every book you read, every mentor you listen to, every extra rep you put in, it compounds, it adds up. And one day you'll look back and realize that your value grew, not because the world changed, but because you did. The fifth strategy is to develop long-term vision with short-term urgency. You need both. One without the other is a trap. Vision without urgency becomes fantasy. Urgency without vision becomes anxiety. But when you combine the two, when you know exactly where you're going, and you move with focused intensity, you become unstoppable. Most people drift because they never created a clear vision for their financial life. They know what they don't want. They know what frustrates them, but they don't have a vivid picture of the future they're building. So they react to bills, they chase short-term survival, and they stay stuck in cycles that never break. Vision gives direction. It gives weight to your choices. It lets you say no with confidence because you know what you're saying yes to. Without vision, everything feels equally urgent. You respond to everything and move toward nothing. You need a vision that's big enough to pull you out of comfort, big enough to make the sacrifice worth it, big enough that when it gets hard, and it will, you still move. Because the outcome matters more than the emotion. You can't build that kind of vision on autopilot. You have to sit with it, ask hard questions. What does financial freedom really look like for me? What kind of life am I building? What do I want my days to feel like? Not just, what do I want them to cost? What do I want to give? Who do I want to help? What legacy do I want to leave? You get clear, you get specific, because clarity fuels commitment. And without clarity, you'll settle for small wins and call it growth. You'll spend years climbing a ladder that's leaning against the wrong wall. You'll confuse motion with progress. But once you have vision, real, emotional, powerful vision, you need urgency. Because vision without action is just daydreaming. You need a fire in your gut. You need to wake up with purpose. Because the future isn't going to hand itself to you. You have to go earn it. Urgency doesn't mean panic. It doesn't mean rushing. It means recognizing that time is your most valuable currency, and you don't get to waste it. It means refusing to delay what you know you need to do. It means taking the next step, even if it's small, today. Every day that passes is a day you don't get back. And when you really understand that, procrastination becomes unacceptable. Comfort becomes a threat. Excuses become expensive. Because you see what's at stake. You see the price of delay. You train urgency by taking action daily, not waiting for motivation, not needing a perfect plan, just movement, action, even if it's imperfect, even if it's uncomfortable, because momentum is more valuable than perfection, and action always reveals more than thinking. When you live with vision and urgency together, you build consistency, you build rhythm. You stop chasing shiny distractions because they don't fit the bigger picture. You stop wasting energy on what's trending and stay focused on what's timeless. This is how you outlast the hype. This is how you build something that doesn't just feel good today, but still matters a decade from now. You stop measuring success by how fast you're going and start measuring it by how aligned you are. And when you live like that, you stop comparing. You stop competing because your race is different. Your vision is personal and your urgency is sacred. It's not fueled by fear. It's fueled by responsibility. You know what you're building and you refuse to waste the time you've been given. Vision gives your life meaning. Urgency gives it movement. And the combination of the two gives you mastery, not just over your money, but over your future. Next, the sixth strategy is to build strategic relationships. You can't master your financial destiny alone. No one does. No matter how smart you are, how disciplined, how driven, you will reach a point where your next level depends on who you know, who you're learning from, who's speaking into your life, and who you're walking with. People are leverage. People are doors. People are perspective. And the right relationship at the right time can collapse 10 years of struggle into 1 year of progress. Not because someone gave you something, but because they challenged you, sharpened you, elevated you. Most people stay stuck financially because they're surrounded by people who normalize struggle. People who say things like, money isn't everything, but are secretly resentful of anyone who has it. People who criticize ambition. People who make fun of effort. People who are committed to comfort, not growth. If you want to rise, you have to upgrade your circle, not by becoming arrogant, not by acting superior, but by deciding that your future matters enough to protect your environment. And your environment is made up of people more than anything else. You need people around you who talk about ideas, not drama, who challenge your goals, not your worth, who remind you of your vision when you feel stuck, who hold you accountable to your greatness, not your limitations. And you don't need 100 of them, just a few. A few real connections built on shared values, shared direction, shared hunger. The kind of people who won't let you quit, who won't let you stay small, who reflect the standard you've set for yourself or help raise it. This doesn't happen by accident. You have to be intentional. You have to seek those people out. You have to get in the room, join the community, go where the growth is happening. Be willing to be the least experienced person in the room, because that's where you'll learn the most. And just as importantly, you have to be that kind of person for someone else. Relationships are not one way. You don't just receive, you give, you sharpen, you challenge, you encourage, you create value, you bring something to the table. The fastest way to build real connection is to become valuable. Not needy, not entitled, valuable. That means listening. That means supporting. That means showing up consistently, not just when you need something. You need mentors, people who are where you want to be, people who can show you what's possible, not through inspiration alone, but through information, perspective, experience. You don't need to figure everything out yourself, and you shouldn't try to. You shorten the learning curve when you learn from others. You avoid costly mistakes when you ask better questions. You build stronger habits when someone is holding you to a higher standard. But mentorship only works if you're humble. You can't grow if you're always trying to prove. You can't learn if you're pretending to already know. Humility opens doors that talent can't. And when you combine that humility with hunger, people want to help you. Stop trying to impress. Start trying to connect. Stop chasing attention. Start building trust. The most powerful financial networks are built on consistency, not charisma, on value, not volume, on depth, not flash. And it's not just about money. It's about the kind of life you want to live, the kind of conversations you want to have, the kind of energy you want to be surrounded by. Because the people you walk with shape how you see yourself, and how you see yourself shapes what you believe is possible. So ask yourself, who's in your corner? Who challenges you? Who expands your thinking? Who models what's possible? And who needs you to show up stronger, more consistent, more intentional, so they can rise too? Strategic relationships don't just help you grow, they help you stay growing. They remind you of your standards. They keep you grounded. They multiply your courage. They expose your blind spots. And they walk with you when the journey gets heavy. Next, the seventh strategy is to respect the power of consistency. Not just the big moves, not just the breakthroughs, but the small, often invisible things you do every single day. The routines, the habits, the choices that seem minor, but when stacked, create the life you want or the one you regret. Consistency is what separates wishful thinking from inevitable results. You don't need to do everything. You just need to do the right things long enough for them to compound. But most people don't. They start and stop. They sprint and crash. They treat discipline like a short-term project instead of a lifelong commitment. Financial mastery is not about luck. It's not about one great decision. It's about sustained behavior. Anyone can save money once. Anyone can invest once. Anyone can work hard for a week. But the people who master their destiny are the ones who do it when it's boring, when it's quiet, when there's no immediate reward. That's when consistency matters most. Not when it's easy, but when it's inconvenient. Because that's what builds character. That's what builds habits you can trust. That's what creates a foundation that won't shake when life does. You will not build a new financial life on emotional decisions. You'll build it on systems, on habits, on automatic follow-through, on the decision to show up and do the work, whether or not it's exciting that day. You can't afford to keep starting over. Every time you reset, you lose time. You lose momentum. You lose compound growth. And the hardest part of growth is not getting started. It's staying in it long enough to see the results. But the reward is worth it, because once consistency becomes identity, the effort feels different. You're not dragging yourself to do it. You're being who you are. You've stopped negotiating with your discipline because it's no longer an outside force. It's part of your DNA. You stop overreacting to your emotions because you know how you feel doesn't change what needs to be done. That kind of clarity creates peace. It creates power. It gives you something solid to stand on, even when everything else is uncertain. Consistency is not perfection. It's resilience. It's recovering quickly. It's adjusting without quitting. It's staying connected to your mission even when your motivation isn't showing up. You want to change your financial life? Find the core habits that move the needle and do them daily. Don't look for new tricks. Look for things worth repeating. The boring work, the foundational work, the routines that stabilize everything else. Track your money, review your goals, make saving automatic. Set time aside every week to learn something new. Build boundaries around your energy. These things aren't complicated, but they work if you let them. Most people give up because they expect instant results. They mistake silence for failure. But silence is part of the process. Growth takes time to show itself. And just because it's not loud doesn't mean it's not happening. Trust the rhythm. Respect the reps. Know that every small, intentional decision you make today is either pulling you closer to financial mastery or pushing you further from it. The beautiful thing about consistency is that it doesn't require genius. It just requires intention, discipline, and a deep enough reason to keep showing up. Find that reason. Remind yourself of it daily. Protect it, and let it fuel your rhythm. Next. The eighth strategy is to think in terms of ownership, not just income. Most people are taught to earn, to work for a paycheck, to chase a salary. And while there's nothing wrong with earning money through hard work, if you stop there, you never build true financial freedom, because income feeds today. Ownership feeds tomorrow. If you want to master your financial destiny, you have to shift from labor-driven thinking to asset-driven thinking. You have to start asking yourself, what do I own that makes money while I sleep? What am I building that can outlive my effort? Because the moment you stop working, your income stops too, unless you've built something that continues. Ownership gives you leverage. It lets your money work when you're not. It lets your ideas keep growing even when you need to rest. It gives you options. And options are the foundation of freedom. If every dollar in your life is tied to your time, you'll always be limited, because your time is limited. Ownership doesn't have to start big. You don't need millions to begin, but you do need the mindset. You need to start seeing opportunity differently, to stop spending everything you earn, to stop consuming everything you touch, to start thinking like a builder, a creator, an investor. When you think like an owner, you move differently. You ask different questions. You stop saying, can I afford this? And start asking, is this building something that gives me freedom? You start evaluating opportunities based not just on immediate return, but long-term value. This applies in every area of life. You can own real estate. You can own equity in a business. You can own intellectual property. You can own your own brand, your own skill stack, your own systems. You can own your calendar, your process, your platform. Ownership is about taking control of your future, of your strategy, of your output. And it starts small. Maybe it's putting money into a retirement account. Maybe it's building a side hustle. Maybe it's creating something that solves a problem and putting your name on it. The point isn't what you own today. It's that you start thinking like someone who builds assets. You stop seeing yourself as a consumer. You stop living for the next paycheck. You stop chasing instant gratification. You become strategic, patient, intentional. Because wealth isn't created in bursts. It's created in systems, in leverage, in compounding returns. And you only access those things when you take off the employee-only mindset and start thinking like someone who owns the result. This doesn't mean you have to start a company, but it does mean you take ownership of your work, of your outcomes, of your financial education, of your investment in yourself, because no one will build it for you. No one's coming to hand you freedom. You earn it through ownership. And ownership takes courage, because there are no guarantees. There's no clock to punch. There's no boss to blame. It's your name on the line. But that's what makes it powerful. When the wins come, they're yours. When the returns show up, you're not waiting for permission. You become someone who lives on your own terms, who can walk away from toxic environments, who can say no to misaligned opportunities, who can choose your time, your focus, your future, because you built something that gives you options. And that kind of power, that kind of freedom, it doesn't show up overnight. But it begins the moment you shift your mindset from renting your life to owning it, from depending on others to creating for yourself, from chasing short-term money to building long-term wealth. The ninth strategy is to make your self-belief louder than your self-doubt. Because no strategy matters if you don't believe you can execute it. No opportunity lasts if you don't believe you're worthy of it. And no amount of income will stick if your identity still says, I don't deserve this. Your belief is the thermostat of your life. You will not outperform it for long. You can fake it for a while. You can grind for a while. But eventually, your inner world catches up. If your belief is low, your income will find its way back to what feels familiar. And if your belief is high, if your belief is strong, you can weather setbacks, rise through failure, and rebuild when everything falls apart. Self-belief is not ego. It's not arrogance. It's not loud or flashy. It's quiet. It's rooted. It's the voice inside that says, even if I don't know how yet, I will figure it out. It's the refusal to be counted out. It's the decision to bet on yourself when no one else does. The reason most people never master their financial destiny isn't because they lack tools. It's because they lack confidence, not in the market, not in the strategy, in themselves. They hesitate. They second guess. They underprice. They don't raise their hand. They don't start. Not because they're not capable, but because they don't believe they are. And that doubt, it shows up everywhere. In how you speak, in how you negotiate, in how you respond to opportunity, in how you handle risk. But that can change because belief is a muscle. And you build it by doing hard things, by following through, by keeping your word to yourself until you become someone you can trust. You don't need to wait until you feel ready to believe in yourself. You start now. You take action in the face of doubt. You execute even when you're scared. And every time you do, you give your mind proof, evidence, fuel. You start rewriting your identity. Confidence isn't built in silence. It's built in motion. It's built when you show up again, when you launch the idea, when you raise the price, when you ask the question, when you step into the room and own your value, even if your voice shakes. And when it doesn't go perfectly, you don't shrink. You don't retreat. You remind yourself, this is part of it. You study, you learn, you adjust, but you don't stop. Because the most dangerous thing you can do is doubt yourself into delay. There is no shortcut around this. You can have all the information in the world. But if you don't believe you belong in the conversation, you'll silence yourself before you get a chance to rise. So your real work, it starts inside. It starts with how you talk to yourself when no one's listening. It starts with what you say after you fail. It starts with how you describe your story to yourself. Are you the underdog, the comeback, the one who always loses, or the one who always finds a way to rise? Self-belief isn't about ignoring your flaws. It's about knowing your flaws and choosing growth anyway. It's about knowing you're not perfect and still showing up fully, still speaking with strength, still asking for what you're worth, still deciding that you will not stay small. You will always have doubt. That voice won't disappear. But belief can be louder, stronger, more practiced. And that belief will shape your choices, and your choices will shape your results. And over time, you'll look back and realize it was never luck. It was never someone else's permission. It was you. Next. The 10th strategy is to take relentless action, not random action, not emotional bursts of energy followed by long seasons of inactivity. Relentless, focused, committed action. The kind that moves you forward even when motivation fades. The kind that says, I'll show up anyway. The kind that makes your progress inevitable because you refuse to stop. The most successful people in the world are not always the most talented. They're not always the smartest, but they move. They take action. They don't let perfect get in the way of progress. They don't need someone to tell them what to do every step of the way. They get clear, and then they act. Action is the great separator. It's what turns dreams into plans. It's what turns plans into results. It's what transforms potential into performance. Everyone has ideas. Everyone has goals. But the people who actually build something are the ones who take consistent, imperfect steps toward it every single day. If you wait until you feel ready, you'll never begin. If you wait until you have all the information, you'll miss the opportunity. And if you wait for someone to give you permission, you'll be waiting for the rest of your life. Action isn't optional. It's the bridge between where you are and where you're going. And the thing about action is, it teaches you. It shows you what works and what doesn't. It gives you feedback. It gives you clarity. You don't get clarity from thinking. You get it from doing. You get it from being in motion. That's how you find your path. Not by sitting back and waiting for the perfect plan, but by building it as you go. Every step reveals the next one. But you won't see it if you're frozen in hesitation. The longer you wait, the more fear grows. But when you move, fear loses its grip. You want to master your financial destiny? Take action. Apply for the job. Start the side hustle. Learn the skill. Ask the question. Create the plan. Open the account. Invest in yourself. Stop sitting on your potential. Stop explaining your inaction. Stop romanticizing preparation. The time you're spending planning could be spent building. The time you're spending watching others could be spent becoming. The time you're spending worrying could be spent executing. Your breakthrough isn't in a perfect strategy. It's in your next decision. And don't confuse action with noise. Busyness is not progress. Being constantly overwhelmed is not the same as building something. You don't need to do more. You need to do what matters and do it consistently, relentlessly. Make a decision, follow through, review, adjust, repeat. That rhythm will take you further than motivation ever will. That rhythm will build trust in yourself. That rhythm will open doors. And over time, that rhythm will compound into freedom. Because freedom isn't found in a single massive move. It's found in the discipline of daily progress. It's found in your ability to do the hard thing again and again. It's found in your refusal to stop. And you don't need to be loud about it. You don't need to announce every move. Just move. Just act. Let the results speak for you. Let your consistency tell the story. Let your follow-through separate you. Most people talk, most people wait, most people hope, but very few take relentless action. And those who do, they change everything. They become the leaders, the creators, the ones who build something that lasts. So whatever's been sitting on your heart, whatever idea, habit, goal, or conversation you've been putting off, do it today. Don't let fear stall your future. Don't let comfort delay your calling. You don't need more certainty. You need more courage. Mastering your financial destiny is not just about making more money. It's about becoming someone different, someone stronger, someone more intentional, someone who doesn't just react to life, but takes command of it. Someone who decides again and again that their future will be built by design, not by default. You can't drift into abundance. You can't stumble your way into freedom. You can't build something that lasts on shortcuts, doubt, and delay. You build it with principles, with mindset, with behavior, with the decision to lead yourself well, especially when no one is watching. All 10 strategies you've learned in this seminar are simple, but simple doesn't mean easy. It means they require depth, consistency, repetition, humility, courage. They require you to stop waiting for the world to make it easier and start becoming the person who can handle whatever it takes. And you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to know everything, but you do have to move. You do have to commit. You do have to stop starting over and start going deeper. Because mastery doesn't come from knowing. It comes from doing, from living, from showing up when you'd rather quit. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming who you were always capable of being. Someone who understands their value. Someone who builds systems instead of excuses. Someone who doesn't wait to be rescued because they already chose to take responsibility. The journey to financial freedom isn't linear. It will stretch you, test you, break old patterns, challenge everything you thought was true about money, success, and what you deserve. But if you stay with it, if you trust these principles and apply them with consistency, you will change. And when you change, everything around you starts to change too. You won't need to shout about it. Your peace will speak. Your focus will speak. Your progress will speak. People will ask what happened, and you'll know. You'll know that you stopped living like a victim and started thinking like an owner. You'll know that you stopped chasing comfort and started building legacy. You'll know that your destiny wasn't luck. It was leadership. So wherever you are right now, whatever your starting point, whatever your story, decide. Decide that you're done giving your future to fear. Decide that you're done repeating old patterns. Decide that your life will be different. Not because someone gave you permission, but because you chose to apply the principles that work. You don't need anyone to save you. You don't need another guarantee. You already have what you need. You have your mind. You have your heart. You have your time. You have these strategies. And you have the power to choose.